thanks again, Matt, for coming out today.
Absolutely.
So based on your player profile that I sent you before the lesson, you want to work on your short game, is that right?
That's correct.
All right. Anything in particular that you want to work on or improve today?
Distance control, consistency, those things.
Distance control and consistency. Okay.
Absolutely.
So, like I said, we're going to go through our short game assessment. So it's going to include 4 shots. We have 10-yard chip, 15-yard pitch, 15-yard lob shot, and 20-yard pitch. Maybe a 30-yard pitch if we get through it. All right. So I'm just going to watch you hit 5 shots from each of these spots, and then we'll set up a game plan. I'm going to use our little form, and we'll be able to figure out where you need the most work. Okay?
All of it.
All of it. All right. He almost jars the first one. That's always a good sign.
That's just called plain luck. Oh, and then see, that's where you consistency.
Hold on there just a second. I'm going to sneak behind you so I can see a couple things. All right. So would you say that's pretty typical? A few good ones?
Yeah, reasonably typical. Yeah.
Kind of short.
Hence the reason I'm here.
Yeah. I mean, direction-wise, you're not too bad.
Right.
Most of them have gone past the hole. There's one that's a little short, but you kind of stubbed that one.
Yeah.
All right.
I would say that's fairly consistent for the most part. Going long gets to happen less and less as the year goes on. I start to think more and feel like that's the edge of the world is the end of the cup, and I know that's not the right thing. I just know that's what I do.
Okay. Very good. So we're going to go through the scoring process.
Okay.
It's 4 points for a make.
Okay.
2 points for inside of 4 feet, which is basically a club plus a grip.
Okay.
And then 1 point inside of 8 feet, 2 clubs, 2 grips.
Got it.
Okay, so we're going to go count these up. It looks like you've got 2, 4, 5 points. We'll double that to 10.
Okay.
All right. So normally we do this with 10 ball. We're just going to do kind of the quick version.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So what club did you use there?
54.
54 degree.
Probably should have been a 58.
Okay.
Okay.
So based on your score, you're equivalent to about a 10 to 22 handicap using the Dave Pell's scoring method. All right.
Sure.
So probably an area of improvement for you.
Absolutely.
We'll come back to this. So the second one we're going to do is a 15-yard pitch. We'll
Okay.
do that right over here. And turn it off. We'll just reset. All right. So this is a 15-yard pitch shot. Anything you do different between a pitch shot, something that you carry a little farther than?
Absolutely, a little more loft in the club. It's a 58 degree versus a 54, and I probably could use a 58 there too. I'm very situational. I'm not tied to any one wedge. I think it goes as the shot calls for a little higher ball flare, a little more flight in the air. I'll go with more loft typically. That could have been played just as easily with a 7-iron as it was a 58 degree for me. With this one here, it's having to carry at least a third of the distance, or about a third of the distance. I'm going to play a 58 and try and fly it a little further. So.
Sounds good.
Other than that, typically pretty similar swing. Positioning, everything else is kind of the same.
Check, please.
Yeah, I'd take that all day. Good golf ball right out here. Ooh, that's hot. That's a bit hot.
Describe your weight distribution on this pitch shot.
I would say 60-40 or 65-35 on the left.
Okay. All right. So count up your points. How many? shot for a 15 yard. That puts him in the scratch to 1 handicap range.
That's where I'm at.
There you go.
That's why we don't get close to the green.
All right. So let's go. Let's move to the next 15 yard lob shot.
Okay.
So you did struggle with that one. So let's take a look at it.
Lob shots are not my favorite, so
Okay.
I'm all the help I can get.
All right, man. So this is the 15 yard lob shot. You can see we don't have a whole lot of green to work with on this one. So what are you trying to do to hit this lob shot?
In my particular case, I'll take the weight back. You asked what the weight was before. Now I'm probably 60 to 70% on the right side. My hands will come back, and I'll lay the wedge open just a little bit. It's 58 degree. It doesn't need to be open much more than that, I don't think. So bringing the hands back kind of increases the loft, and I open it up a little bit. And then I wouldn't say it becomes a wristier shot, but it almost becomes more of a fluid, smoother, trying to just slide it underneath the golf ball and get it to pop up in the air as opposed to pinching down on it. This is a different swing completely for me.
Okay. Sounds good. Let's see what you got. Yeah. Struck with a lot of confidence.
What I got and what I just told you are two probably different things.
Concept into reality.
Yeah, like that. That's kind of what happens sometimes.
Bounce one in there.
Absolutely. Good time.
You're on the board.
Yeah, I would live with that. It'd be just fine. Shots are not my favorite. Although I'm okay with that flight, obviously the distance and the consistency, like I talked about before, is an issue with this shot for sure.
I'm looking for how he sets the face and then his flow lines or his double joints in his body, how they're aligned relative to the face and the target.
Might have got a couple of points.
All right, count 'em up. What do we got? 2?
I think
2 for 4. All right. All right. Fourth shot we're going to do is a 30-yard pitch shot. So you've got a fair amount of green to work with. What club are you going to use here?
Still here, I'm probably going to take a 58 unless I have some really unusual circumstance. But 58, I could probably get a 54 to spin both of them. With the golf ball using the grooves that I have on these wedges, they spin pretty good. But this is still a confidence for me. Is 58. It's a whole lot better than 54.
Okay. Anything that any concepts or what are you trying to?
This almost becomes back to like the chip where the weight's a little bit further forward. It's certainly not like the lob. The hands will be forward. We're going to try and pinch this a little bit. I'm going to try and generate some spin. And the goal for me on this is to fly it at least halfway between the front of the green and the pin because it's going to have some spin. That's going to have a little bit more speed. So I'm going to try and get a little more spin on it and fly it there a little further. And whether it happens or not, whole other matter. But
okay.
That's what we're trying for.
First one's on the board. That's always nice.
Yeah, I'll take that. That would be a. This one is not as intimidating as the lob shot. I hate those. Like I say, these are a combination of golf balls and wedges. Generally spin pretty quickly with these.
All right, I'm going to recommend that you play these last two as they lie.
I got lucky with this one. That one's no fun. That was ugly.
Your flow lines are a lot easier on here. Come on back here for just a second. So one of the things I noticed, the two shots that you hit pretty well. 6 for 12 on that 30-yard pitch shot. Again, that puts you in that scratch to 5 handicap area.
Okay.
You probably don't need to spend a whole lot of time on those two shots, but things I did notice there, your flow lines, your double, if we put a bar between your double joints, your ankles, your knees, your hips, and your shoulders, they tend to work a lot better.
Okay.
And then when you, with the other shots, you tend to open up.
Yep.
And cut across and create some
Okay.
diverging angles that are tough to manage unless you're
Okay.
playing 8 days a week.
Yeah. Okay, I know that isn't happening.
Yeah. I mean, you can do it if you practice a lot, but we're going to try to keep it simple, which was one of the other goals.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Consistent, simple.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to go pick those up, and we're going to work on that 10-yard chip shot first, and then we'll come back to that 15-yard lob shot.
Okay, sounds good.
Good. So a couple changes that I think will help. One, using a lower lofted club, so we're going to grab your 50 degree instead of your 54.
Okay.
And again, we want to get that ball on the ground and rolling pretty much as fast as we can. Do you know your air to roll ratio, or how far you hit it to roll with that club?
On this one, at a shot like this, I would probably say it's almost a 1-to-1 air to roll. When I have something with a little more loft and I put some spin on it, it's almost like a 2-to-1 ratio, where I'm in the air twice as long as I am to run it. So.
Let's put a little gate there, so that's 5 yards, so 1-to-1, right?
Right.
Apply it halfway, it's going to roll half.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, how do you control trajectory typically? Both by club, but also, what else do you tend to put this back in your stance?
This one will be a little further back in my stance, and my hands will be a little further forward. So this one's going to get de-lofted a little bit. So
I'm just going to use this little stick. So the farther back in your stance, obviously the lower the trajectory.
right.
Also, go ahead and just leave it the same. But shift your weight back in your stance.
Yep.
Notice that also tends to go higher,
Absolutely.
lower.
Yep.
So if we're trying to keep this real simple, go ahead and set up there again. We're going to put this middle to a little bit back in your stance, but I'm also going to suggest that you use kind of a one lever chip shot. So we're going to make one line from your shoulder all the way down to the club, rather than having 2 levers from your arm and then the shaft.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then what I notice also is that you tend to aim the face a little bit to the right,
Okay.
and then cut across it to the left.
Okay.
It's hard to do, so I'm going to
Close this up a little.
I'm going to hold this, go ahead and let go.
Yep.
Take a peek over my shoulder. Where is this aiming?
Oh, that's well right.
Well, right, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So go ahead and try again, or I'm actually going to, see the lines on your grooves?
Yep.
We're going to use that field goal post as kind of a frame.
Sure.
Okay. There we go. So I'm just going to set that. Okay. And then, like we were talking about before, those flow lines of your ankles, your knees, so these are still a little bit open. I'm going to suggest that we square these up a little bit.
Okay.
Your hips, shoulders, and also your forearms. Okay. We're going to get your forearms matching with that face.
Okay.
That'll square up your shoulders. You can't see your shoulders, you can see your forearms.
Right.
All right?
Okay.
Go ahead and land one right in between that gate. A little bit beyond, but
1-to-1.
pretty good though.
Yeah, had
That was
I
nice
landed
and
it in the
crisp.
gate, it would have been just fine.
Yeah.
I'd say that works.
Pretty darn good there.
It's good for your video.
Again, set that lever. Good. There we go. So one thing that, if you look on the face on, he's got a little bit of a sway. So I'm going to suggest you ever play with Legos as a kid?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So we're going to stack your joints, your ankle, your knee, your hip, and your shoulder,
Okay.
all on top of each other.
All right.
And then again, we're going to keep that here. Yep.
Okay.
Now, if we put the ball too far back, what happens to your shoulders? They tend to go a little bit closed.
Sure.
If we put the ball more in the middle, they stay square. If we put the ball even more forward, which tends to happen with your driver,
Right.
they tend to open up, right?
Sure.
So if we're trying to hit a basic chip shot, let's try to keep the shoulders pretty
square.
Pretty square.
Okay.
There you go.
Stacking Legos.
Stacking Legos.
One lever.
And then one lever.
Yeah.
Pretty good there. A little Healy maybe?
A little bit. Stack. That's just
is your routine. Okay? So normally I'm guessing you probably start from behind the ball.
Take a look and
kind
do
of take a
everything.
look. So let's go through your full routine and just kind of talk out loud to me. Not that you're schizophrenic, but
Typically what I'm going to do is try and find, like we were talking about, an air to flight to roll ratio. So in this particular case, I'd look at it and think, yeah, that's about 1 to 1. So now I'm going to try and find visually, as I'm probably not going to pace it off, or my playing partners will beat the crap out of me. So I'll try and keep it so I can visually start, and I'll try and find a spot on the green somewhere that I'm looking at. In this particular case, not having any tees, I would pick a little dead spot right about here, and that was about the spot I'd want to land it. So that being said, I would pick that spot and say, okay, and you read the green a little bit, it's going to run a little right to left. That's pretty obvious from here. So I'm going to try and pick a little dead spot there and land it. And I would like to say I could try to hit a frisbee, but it's more like a hula hoop. So I'd try and hit the frisbee and just land it and run it out and take what I get. So that's kind of the plan.
do you see trajectory and roll and where it's going to enter the hole, or is that?
In this particular case, I'm seeing it going to enter between 4 and 5 o'clock. As I look at it, 12 being north from this one, it's going to come in from the right hand, kind of the lower right hand side of the cup. So I'll read the roll as it gets on the green as it's running out, just like I would a putt. So I'll see that from as it lands to being a putt from there. So when I see my trajectory, not especially, I don't see a ball flight as far as height goes. I see it land in a spot and then run like a putt from there. And that's how I kind of visualize things. In
Okay.
this. So
Let's see what you got.
see what I get. It's interesting. That's what we get. We'll try that again.
What do you think causes that one?
Paralysis by analysis. I'm standing here talking to you in front of a camera, telling you exactly what the hell I'm going to try and do. And then trying way too hard to do just that as opposed to feeling anything.
Did you notice where your weight?
My weight's all back here now. Because I'm trying to stack as opposed to feeling what I felt was comfortable. What I felt was comfortable would have been somewhere up here.
Okay.
So, trying to stack my Legos, I wouldn't be just stacking that way, but that's what I feel comfortable doing. It's a habitual thing.
Okay.
I'm thinking way too much.
Let's go back to the kind of the three-part visualization: target, trajectory, and shape.
Okay.
So this ball, you said, is going to break just a little bit left to right. It's going to be what, about thigh high?
Maybe.
Knee
This
high?
one, yeah, probably more like me.
Okay. The good news is they're all scoring.
The bad news is not one of them is really that good.
Yeah, so as you go through the progression here with these short games, the first goal is to get 10 balls to count inside of 8 feet.
Sure.
Okay? And then it's based on how good you want to get, you can use these references to kind of progress.
Well, this is certainly something to work on, and it's nothing that I ever paid that much attention to. So having some ideas as far as just building the consistency, talking about having a stacked shoulder on top of hip on top of knee on top of ankle, keeping a one lever setup, all that makes sense to me. It's just something I need to work on because it's nothing I did. So breaking the habit of being what it was to what it needs to be is what I need to work on.
Okay, great. Let's pick these up.
Okay.
Let's go work on that 15-yard lob shot, your favorite one. Okay. All right, Matt. You're telling me that you're typically a visual player if you can see it. So I'm going to hit a couple for you. And this is that lob shot. So a lot of your concepts I like. You put the weight back. Your ball goes a little bit more forward. Just to give you kind of a clear idea, when your weight goes back, low point to me is underneath your shoulder. Right? So we want to put that ball more or less under your shoulder and just like you said, spaghetti arms, kind of nice and smooth.
Okay.
So this 15-yard shot, I know if I take it back to about thigh high and let it go with a nice release, this should go about 15 yards.
Okay.
The other thing that I'm not crazy about, you can do it if you practice a lot, but opening the face. So notice when you open the face, that leading edge gets exposed. If you've got a tight lie, it's hard to slip that ball all the way under the club, right?
Yep.
So sometimes you can do it if you got a decent or fluffy lie.
Yep.
Opening the face is okay. The other thing, it creates side spin.
Okay.
So at different distances, you have different amounts of spin.
Hi.
I'm shooting a video.
Boy, you guys are doing a really good job.
Alright. We may or may not edit that out, but
It's pretty entertaining, I know that.
alright. So, pure backspin's easier to control than side spin.
Okay.
So, I'm going to suggest that we just lean the shaft rather than
Okay.
opening
Open the face or close it, okay.
You can do that, but for the basic lob shot, again, you probably should have a decent lie. Again, I tested you a little bit before with some random lies. So you're going to aim that face, then your forearms, then lastly your feet. So your face, forearms, your feet.
That was pretty good.
Right?
Does that count on my score sheet?
I think I do this for a living or something.
You'd think. I get down to count on my score sheet.
It's also slightly intimidating with somebody behind there too.
I didn't even notice it.
You haven't beat the pro yet, but
Yeah, that may never happen. So.
you're still on the scoreboard though, so that's all right. And we've got a couple of rings. We've got a 4-foot ring and an 8-foot ring on the green, so we can tell where he is. Or we use a string that we tie onto the post.
Now I beat the pro.
Oh yeah.
Now I beat the pro. It means he's a really good teacher. Or I'm a really good student, or both.
I prefer the latter.
Both? I don't think I've hit lobs that easy in my life ever. If I'm not paying you for this, I should be.
Keep it silly, keep it simple, silly.
Oh, we call him stupid. Nice, maybe that was my basketball coach.
I think you got it.
Now we nubbed out the coach, so thank you so much. That was really good.
Very good.
That was
All right.
really good.
All right, Matt, just as a review, what are 3 things that you want to remember for that basic 10-yard chip shot?
On the chip shot, the first thing is to stack all the joints together. So shoulder on top of hips, on top of knees, on top of ankles. And then I want to make sure, like you talked about, using the one lever. So instead of having this hinge, just the one here, so it's straight down there. Last, using lines on the grooves to basically kick a field goal with what I've visualized out on the green, just to line that up so I have a proper aiming point. So those are the 3 things I want to remember with that.
Okay. How about the 15-yard lob shot?
The lob shot is, for one, not to open the face up, just to keep it where it is, but to bring the hands back so that the shaft is actually leaned back so it's not exposing that leading edge. And I want to bring my weight back some. And then this one I just kind of want to get used to working on a specific back and through and not trying to flip the wrist or not trying to do anything special, just keeping it simple, silly, or stupid as I call it. So getting the hands back and the weight a little further back, and then just keeping it real simple on the swing back and through.
Okay. The only thing I'd clarify there, go ahead and set up there. So that club shaft can get over the club head. I don't necessarily want it leaning back.
Right.
Again, you start exposing that leading edge. So
Sure.
vertical,
Yep.
okay.
Okay.
Slightly forward, also okay. But
On the
somewhere in
lob
that
shot,
area.
somewhere about on top, basically on the club head.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
the chip shots are
Right. Hands forward
obviously
just to make it
more
one
forward.
lever. Yep.
Okay, good.
Great.
So your homework, if you choose to accept it, is I'm going to have you go through each of these 8 shots
Okay.
with each club in your bag. So you're going to hit it normal
Right.
with your normal club. Then you're going to pick either a pitching wedge, you carry a pitching wedge, a sand wedge, and a lob wedge, right?
Absolutely.
So go through each of these, and you'll start to find trends as far as what club you hit better
Okay.
at different distances.
Sure.
And also, you can kind of use that for your own game. Take you about 45 minutes to complete this whole thing with
Okay.
each club. So it'll also give you your scores based on your handicap.
Okay.
And then we'll know what we need to continue to work on. But I think that last series
Worked out pretty good.
You're pretty good.
Yeah, I take that any day.
All right.
Thank you very much, Brad.
Thank you.
You bet.